Welcome to Wonder Talks. My name is Catherine Martin, and this is my favorite wonder dog, Supergirl Smoogie. She's going to help us today, as well as my friend here.
Top of the morning to ya.
So, a Wonder Talk is a short, inspirational talk that encourages you to think bigger about some area in your life. So, Smoogie here has her green bow tie on, and we have our little friend here because I thought that in the lead up to St. Patrick's Day, that since Ireland is the land of dreams, that we would talk about releasing your dreams and destiny. This first episode is called Bringing Dead Dreams to Life. So I thought that I would start with a little story, and it's based on a legend about St. Patrick. And this is a fictional character that I've created about someone whose life was very much changed by St. Patrick. It's called Ethna's Story. So how did I meet Patrick, you ask me? Well, let me tell you. My story begins in the days my father, King Leary, was High King of Ireland. Not just king, mind you. He was the Ard Rí, the High King of all Ireland. Storytelling's been a part of my life from when I was a wee girl. My mother and father would bring my brother Luid and me to the great hall to hear the bard. A great fire would be lit, and all the nobles, princes and princesses, warriors, kings and queens, would gather round the long wooden tables as we ate and listened. The walls were lined with warm tapestries, with reds richer than blood, purples fitting only for royalty, blues deeper than the blue at the top of the sky as the last shadow of the sun hides behind the hills. I would watch the bard as he told the stories, feel the rhythm of the words as he spoke. Sometimes they were like a drumbeat. Sometimes they flowed like a flute. Sometimes they danced like pipes. Whatever rhythm was perfect at just the right moment. The words were magical, and I could almost see their colors flow from his mouth and mix with the colors of the tapestry and swirl around the room, capturing the hearts of all who listened. When I first began to hear the stories, my feet dangled far above the ground. But I would imagine that I was tall and commanding, and that one day it would be me telling the stories. My voice would call strong and clear as the stories and I would weave the magical words into the hearts of the people and be carried throughout history. Luid and I would practice telling each other stories, each trying to better the other. At times, you'd almost think you loved stories more than I did. Then one day, as I was standing on top of a pile of wood, and my words had just the right rhythms, just the right mix of color, my mother came out to the garden and overheard us. "What are you doing?" she asked. Her face was set, like the one she wore when my father would make great decisions for the land. "Only the bards can tell the stories," she told me. Her voice was soft, but firm. She knew my heart was persistent, but she also knew the power of the bards and the penalties for opposing them. "You may be of royal blood," she said, "but you're still only a girl." She went on to tell me that I'd never be allowed to stand in front of the people and tell the stories. In fact, I must never tell stories at all. Never tell stories? It couldn't be. It wouldn't be. When she left, my brother and I determined so. Our plan was that we would win great battles together, and when my brother had won the right to be declared king after our father and rule the land, we would decree storytelling permitted for all. We devoured our horseback riding and our sword and archery training, and especially our music and history lessons, knowing each skill, each lesson brought us closer to our dreams. My brother grew stronger and more fierce with the sword, as did I. But our favorite part of the day was when we were finished, and we could slip away to the trees near the river and tell each other stories in secret. Then, the messenger came. His words fluttered from his mouth in gray and black. The rhythms a heavy drum beat. Luid had been thrown while riding his horse. He was dead. I watched as the rich browns of the room turned to grey mud. I turned away as the tears washed the colours from my eyes. It couldn't be. It wouldn't be. The river. I would go to the river. Maybe if I went to our secret place, the colours would come back. When I got to the river, its blue-green had faded to green-grey. I waded in, hoping to bring back the colour. I took one step, then two, then three, my thoughts surrounded in greys, and then suddenly I slipped and slid and went under. Blackness radiated through my chest, my lungs filling with a heavy colour till my whole being went black. I don't know how long I was like that, but the next thing I knew, there was light. At first it seemed white, but then I realized it was all the colours swirled together so bright I could hardly look. And then there was green. I found myself lying on soft grass. As I turned my head, I saw my mother and a strangely dressed man. And beside me, I could hardly get my mind to comprehend it. But next to me was Luid. His eyes were open. And he was alive. Alive! And all the colours around me were alive. My mother embraced me, then gestured to the strangely dressed man and said, "This is Patrick." She told me how I had drowned in the river, and how Patrick and the God of Patrick had brought back life to Luid and me. He brought back life, and he brought back our dreams. It's now 10 years later, and the days of King Leary are coming to an end. My brother Luid has won more than enough battles to be declared as High King. Once, my favorite thing was to hear the stories. Now, my favorite thing is to tell them to my daughter. We light a fire in the hearth, and I tell her of how Patrick established the monasteries in our land, how as a result, many have learned not only to read, but also to write. And everyone, from nobles to peasants, are learning to tell the stories. Before long, they will fill our land with richness of color that will be carried throughout history and time. I will tell stories in this land, strong and true. And now, so will she. Thanks to Patrick. May God be with him, and may the God of Patrick be with you. There's many things I could say about that story, but here's what I want to say today. I don't care how dead your dreams are. They can always come back to life. If Jesus could have all of our sins on him when he went to the grave, and he could get resurrected again, then I am confident that my God can resurrect all of your dreams. I don't care if they've been dead for 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50, 60 years. I don't care if you've tried it 10 million times and this never worked. I know that my God has put his dreams into your DNA, and that you were a dream in God's heart since before time even began. And he is even more interested in your dreams coming true than you are. So I want to challenge you. If there's a dream that you've had and it just seems like it's just totally not possible, you've tried 10 million times and it just doesn't work, but deep inside of you, you just know, beyond knowing, that this is something that you were supposed to do. I want to challenge you to take a moment and to ask God, how can he resurrect that dream for you? And how can he bring that dream back to life? Because I believe that not only can he, but that he wants to even more than you do. We're going to talk next time more about finding your dream. And what does it mean when I say a dream is not about what you do, but about who you are. Until then, I hope you have the most amazing, wonder-filled day. Cheerio.
Top of the morning to ya.
Bye-bye for now.